Hello, everybody, and welcome back. This is Suspects and Spirits, and I'm your host, Taylor Seraphin. And this is a real fucked up world we live in. Sorry, just getting right into it today. What is happening in the world? You guys are going to be listening to this a week after I record it, but today is September 10th. I can't say I don't have words. I have a lot of words. I have a lot of opinions. Guys, what the fuck? I just talked in the last episode last week about gun violence. And today we just opened up social media and saw Charlie Kirk get assassinated. What the fuck? And there was another school shooting today. In the last few weeks, I've opened up social media and I have seen a Ukrainian woman, a refugee, get stabbed on a train in North Carolina. And now this. Why are we posting these things, first of all? Like, what are you guys doing? If you saw either of these videos, which most of us have, I am so sorry you had to see that. I I can't unsee that. We can never unsee those things. And fuck, dude, I can't even post that I don't like Donald Trump without getting flagged and my account getting suspended for a day. But those can be posted on social media, actual footage of people dying. That is not normal, you guys. If there were ever a better argument for children to not be on social media, other than it being, a hotbed for predators, it's this very thing, this evil in our world just being shown to the desensitized society that we now live in. My God, what is happening to the world? Now, listen, I'm not even a fan of Charlie Kirk. Like, I disagree with pretty much everything he ever said, but he was a person. No one deserves to die simply because they believe differently than you do. Like, his children were at this event with their mother, with his wife. I am disgusted. And then the whole case of Irina Zaruska, the woman who was stabbed on the train, there was barely any coverage until this week. I read about that on August 22nd and saw that video and said, oh my God, that poor woman. Also, what did I just watch? What did I just watch on a phone? Just opening up Instagram, and I saw this footage of this woman getting stabbed. She came here to escape war. She was a Ukrainian refugee, and that's how it ended for her? What? And the man who stabbed her, he had prior convictions in the double digits. Why was he allowed out? All of this is so fucked on so many levels. And why was there yet another angry young man with a firearm that decided to take out his emotions on a school? Those students in Colorado today, those students in Minneapolis, and the countless of others did not deserve that. This makes me so angry. It's just senseless violence. Like, can men stop fucking killing people? Go to therapy. Get your shit together. Why, as a society, have we decided that because we're angry or we don't agree with someone that they deserve to die? Like, since when is that a thing? When is that okay? That is a wild stance. And I'm sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry, but I vehemently disagree. People are different. Like, not everyone's going to agree with you. Not everyone is going to like you. Not everyone is going to have the same reactions as you. But there is one thing that is absolutely certain. And that is, if you are somehow celebrating any of this, you should probably seek some kind of help. The lack of empathy I've seen today, it is deeply troubling. Okay, my entire feed is filled either with people mourning Charlie Kirk and not even mentioning yet another school shooting where children were left in critical condition, or they're saying that he got what he fought for. Excuse me? Yeah, he argued for the Second Amendment, which is his literal right. Like, he has the right to do that. But he didn't argue to get murdered in front of his 3 and 1-year-old and his wife. They have to grow up without their father. and his wife has to deal with the unbearable grief of losing her partner. Do I disagree with his stances? Sure as shit I do. We need better gun laws and access to mental health care. And this is a prime example of why. Because someone was mad. They didn't agree with Charlie and they didn't like that Charlie disagreed with them. And so they took it out on him. Everyone who owns a gun needs a psychological evaluation. This devastates me. It's all horrific, all of it, as a whole. How the hell are we supposed to run a functioning democracy when people can't even have an opinion? How can we function as a society if people are afraid to voice their opinions because of gun violence? Just none of this is okay. And to those of you, again, who are celebrating this, where is your humanity? Because celebrating someone's death strips us of our own humanity. Again, his views, not mine, but I refuse to let political or personal differences erase the value of a human life. That is a human life. You cannot condemn gun violence on one hand and then cheer it on when the victim is someone you dislike. That is called hypocrisy. By applauding it, you are validating the very cycle of violence that you claim to oppose. We need to do better. Have some fucking humanity. And you know what? I'm on a roll. So while I'm at it, I'm just going to keep going because 3 students are in critical condition today. Their families are in the hospital waiting rooms, desperate for news, holding their breaths, praying that they don't have to wake up tomorrow without their children. Where are their names in the media? Their pain isn't trending, their trauma isn't spotlighted, and neither is Irina Zarutska's. It's been weeks since her death. Weeks, you guys. And it was just as horrific and senseless as Charlie's. If we can hold space for public figures, then we must also hold space for people like Irina and the students in Colorado and every single student who walks into school each morning wondering if this is going to be the day. Our president wants this person who assassinated Charlie Kirk caught and killed, but could give 2 fucks about children dying in schools. Where is the outrage for them? If we can care about one, we can care about them all. You do not get to pick and choose. Empathy is lacking in society, and it is fucking scary how many people just laugh at this stuff. Empathy is not weakness. It is the opposite. In fact, it is the thread that bands us together when everything else falls apart. There is strength in empathy, and the world would be a much better place if more people had it. And also, on that note, if you're blaming the left or the right because of all of this, you're adding fuel to the fire. You're part of the problem. You're part of the rhetoric, the narrative that's being pushed out to us. This is not a left or a right issue today. This is a humanity issue. It is an empathy issue. It is an I have to be right issue. People have lost their fucking minds. And until they prove that they can find it again, no more guns. I feel like we have to address this like we have to address children when they're fighting over a toy or they're arguing, he's not agreeing with me and I said this. If you can't share, you can't be nice, no toys, no guns for you. Goodbye. It is insane to me. This is an insane time to be alive. And this is not the world that I want for my children. Fuck, dude. I don't even know what I need. I need to watch Halloween Town tonight or something cuz I need to feel some kind of joy. I need to snuggle my kids and my dog and my husband and just look for the joys in life because all of this is wild. Go for a walk, you guys. Go touch some grass. Play with your kids. Snuggle your dog. Look for the helpers. As angry as all of this makes me, to see the depravity of humankind each day, it makes me so mad. But I know there's good out there in the world. There is. And right now it's really hard to see it. It's so hard because it's just in your face on social media, like all the fucking time. But there is good out there. Like the man on the train who went out of his way to help Irina when everyone else was just watching. They were just sitting there and watching. She literally bled out on a train. She just sat there quietly and bled and slumped over. And the guy was walking around with a bloody knife. There's blood dripping everywhere. No one did shit. But there was one guy, one man who helped her. We should always look for the helper. Always look for the good. My friends and family, for example, they are amazing people. They're from different walks of life, different religions, different cultures, different political views, personal beliefs, and they're all incredible humans. I'm thankful for them every single day. Look for the helpers. I know my friends and my family would help someone, and I know that there are many more people like them in this world. So, I'm sorry to start off another episode with such a heavy topic, but the world is heavy right now and it needs good people to make it a bit lighter. The only way to do that, I feel, is to acknowledge the bad and then continue to do good. So, yes, all this shit is happening. It's terrible. We can still do better. We can be good people. Continue to be good people, please. And I mean, I know most of you are. So, most of the people listening to this podcast, you're listening to this because you hate the depravity in the world just as much as I do. So, I'm sure I'm probably speaking to the wrong crowd, but we can at least continue to be good people and try and change things for the better. And I don't want this whole intro and this whole story to be overshadowed by the current events, as terrible as they are and as important as they are, but also because this story today is just as important. That's why I have this podcast, because I feel like all of these stories need to be told. They're all worthy of attention. Um, but hey, before we get into another, dark topic, let's do some positivity. Positivity. Because despite what happened today and how horrific it was, there have been some really wonderful things going on in my personal life, and I'm sure you guys have had some wonderful things going on too. I would love to hear about them. If you want to send me your positives of the day or comment on the video for today's episode with something positive that happened to you, that would be awesome. Or just DM me, tell me something funny, tell me a joke, tell me something cool that happened to you, something you saw that made you laugh. Send me a picture of your dog or your cat, like any of that. Um, my positivity is that my husband and I were able to get out of Dodge for our anniversary over the weekend, and we saw the new Conjuring movie. You guys, if you've been listening to my podcast, you know I've been waiting for this. And if you're a Conjuring fan, just go see it. Go right now. I also have a request that if anyone knows anything about the downtown Phoenix AMC theater, I think it's like AMC Center 24 or something. Like, if that place is haunted and you know about it, please tell me. The reason I ask is because we had a private screening of The Conjuring Last Rites. It was amazing. It made it so much creepier, and I've never been able to experience something like that. So being the only ones there was unreal. But yeah, it made it so much scarier. But back to my point of the place being haunted. This place was a ghost town, you guys, not a soul. Okay. The rest of the theater was showing like normal, like all of the other movies and the times they were normal. You could just go buy a ticket, go see a movie. It was a ghost town. I went to get snacks after we like found our seats and got settled in. And I was like, oh, we still have a little bit of time. Like, I'm going to go get something to eat. Mind you, it was a Saturday evening, downtown Phoenix, not a single person in the whole theater. I had the weirdest vibes in that place. I posted a TikTok because it was just so weird. I was taking videos to show my husband like how empty it was because he was sitting in the theater and I went to get food and go potty and stuff. And I was like, he's not going to believe me. So I took video of how empty it was and I posted it on TikTok, and I can put it on Instagram or Facebook if you want. But the entire video is basically just me who is, just excited to be there, happy to be there, and then going to get snacks and realizing I'm the only person there. Only one other than the employees. Same in the women's restroom, which is never empty. Girls, every time you go to the women's room, it's never empty. What do you mean? There's always a line. So yeah. If anyone has insight on that place, I need answers and I need them now. Like, why was it like that? I've never been to a theater on a Saturday evening and it be that empty. It was weird, but the movie was incredible. As always, Vera and Patrick killed it. And the actress who played Judy, guys, give that girl an award. Phenomenal. I will be having nightmares about her for weeks, actually. Go see it. It's so good. The husband and I also saw a baseball game the night before. we went to a Diamondbacks game, which I live for. I love going to baseball games. Go Snakes. But I thought the Red Sox were going to catch up there for a minute, and I was getting real angry. I was getting real upset, but nope. My guy, Corbin Carroll, hit it out of the park, and we won. It was such a good game. Such a good game. Oh, I love the energy at baseball games. It's so much fun. I love sports. I love all of it. Oh, and Flo Rida, he performed afterwards. We got the millennial treatment, you guys. I mean, we only stayed for like 3 songs because baseball games are long. It started at 6:40 and it was like 10 PM when Flo Rida went on stage, and we are old souls with even older knees and backs, so it was way past my bedtime. And I had also had 2 Simply Spiked lemonades, the 8% ones, so Tay needed a nap. I I was real tired, and that bed was so comfy. Oh, I love a hotel bed. So, yeah, really wonderful anniversary getaway with my husband. Happy 5 years married, 11 years going strong. Love you. Thanks for putting up with me. So yeah, that's my positivity for me. Tay, you're welcome. Now, let's get into today's story. It is actually a story that someone posted on TikTok, a girl named Alex, who I don't know personally and wasn't following, but she popped up on my For You page. She's from Phoenix, and she had posted about a woman in Scottsdale who had gone missing in 2015. And this girl, Alex, she was asking for help in her video getting the story out there. So I was like, hey, my podcast is AZ based. I'm happy to help spread the word because clearly, like, this is important to you. It's been 10 years. Something needs to be done. I told her I just needed more information about the case. And after a few weeks, she tagged me in a video responding to my comment. And then a listener of the podcast named Summer, hi, Summer, if you're listening, she tagged me as well, asking me to cover this case. So, I mean, of course, I'm going to cover it. Absolutely. So I put aside the other story that I had planned for this week and I just dove right in. Alex sent me information about her friend who went missing. And thank you, Alex, if you're listening. All of those resources were extremely helpful when I was trying to find, other bits and pieces of information to just kind of tie it all together. It's really hard to do with a cold case, missing persons case, but we try and find as much information as we can. Alex also was uh, basically encouraged by the TikTok community to contact Crime Junkie, who has a much bigger platform than I have. So hopefully they take this story and just run with it. We love Crime Junkie. If you're not listening to them, I don't know what you're doing with your life. Listen to them. They're amazing. They do amazing work. And also, if you're in Arizona, hell, even if you're not, please share this episode. Okay. Share the TikTok. I will have it posted today, like I always do. I also reposted the one that Alex tagged me in. So you can go share that as well. Just just help get this story out there. Every story deserves attention. Cold cases, they can always be warmed up. We have to keep talking about them and circulating information. Someone knows something and one day the truth will come out. So in the meantime, let's do what we can to spread awareness for all the missing persons cases. So this is where I will stop babbling, and all you skippers are probably here. Hi, welcome. Today, we are going to be talking about the disappearance of Cristin Crable. I will say right here at the top, I wish I had more information to share about this case. I'm including as much as I can. I mean, every little thing I could find is in here. I just wish that there was more. But here we go. Let's set the scene. It's early September 2015 in Scottsdale, Arizona. Scottsdale is often called the Beverly Hills of the desert. If you're not familiar with Arizona, Scottsdale is a very ritzy area. It's known for, sprawling resorts, a bustling art district, and some very affluent neighborhoods. Beneath that glossy exterior, though, are the thousands of everyday families just living quiet lives in apartments and condos spread across the valley. And that's pretty much the norm for most people. And Kristen was one of those people. Her full name was Kristen Diane Hess Crable. and she was part of one of those everyday families. Cristin was a mother of three, and she adored her children. Her youngest daughter, Neela, was actually only 3 years old at the time that all of this took place and has mentioned feeling very lost growing up without her mother, which is extremely sad. And throughout this case, family and friends alike have just insisted over the years that the possibility of Cristin just up and leaving or vanishing simply was not in her character. Kristin's ex-husband Joseph even spoke to reporters saying, quote, "She usually would call to check in on her child at least once a day. It's very frustrating not knowing whether she's dead or alive, or if she is alive, where she's at and if she's hurting." End quote. So, I mean, that's coming from her ex-husband. He clearly knows her character and he wants their children's mother to be okay. Kristen was young when she went missing. She was only 41 years old. She was working as an assistant at a local optometrist's office, and she was very physically fit. Everyone said that she was in great shape. She was known to share stories with clients at the office about her days of working as a backup dancer. And you guys, get this. Coolest part about Cristin, other than just being a wonderful human, it seems, is that she was a backup dancer for Janet Jackson. I know. I was like, that is so cool. Like, you don't hear that every day. But I guess people will come into the office and she'd, talk about her kids and talk about her life and then tell stories about, when she worked for Janet Jackson, which like I would probably just bring that up every day in casual conversation. If someone was like, "Hey, how's your day going?" I'd be like, "Oh, it's good, but not as good as when I was a backup dancer for Janet Jackson, but like it's good. That's okay, I guess." Just I mean, come on, right? Pretty cool. And if honestly, and I'm not saying it's not true, but if all of that is true and she really was a backup dancer for Janet Jackson, it's not just like, people in the community saying things, then maybe someone who knows Janet, um, let's get her and her people on this case. Spread the word. Help out in any way you can. I mean, this poor family, they deserve some closure. So, I mean, really, that's a long shot. I'm an indie podcast from Arizona, but if I was a celebrity, and I know not all celebrities are like this, but if I was a celebrity and I found out that one of my prior backup dancers went missing in suspicious circumstances, like I'd want to help. I'd want to know. So, I mean, yeah, long shot, but hey, putting it out there. And speaking of work, Christian's coworkers remembered her as a very steady, kind, and deeply dependable person. One coworker even recalled, quote, "She was the kind of person who would give you her last $10, always reliable, always on time." End quote. And that reliability, that is exactly what made her sudden absence so shocking to everybody around her. When Kristen failed to show up for work on September 11th, 2015, her coworkers knew immediately that something wasn't right. On September 10th, 2000, oh shit, you guys, I just realized, sorry. Today's September 10th. That's weird. I didn't even mean to do that. Oh, that's weird. Okay. Anyways, sorry. Back on track. That just kind of threw me for a second. I guess I was meant to cover it today. Man, that means it has been exactly 10 years to the day today that she went missing. Okay. On September 10th, 2015, Kristen was last seen at her apartment complex in the 7300 block of East Legacy Boulevard in North Scottsdale near Pima Road. It was a very quiet suburban complex, the kind of place where neighbors, like, they would wave to each other as they came and went. People were pretty friendly. Kristen's vehicle was parked outside of her apartment complex, and it was a very common sighting. It was a gray 2013 Honda Cross Tour, and everyone knew, in the complex that this was her car. You kind of get to know your neighbors and what they drive. If you've ever lived in an apartment, you know how that goes. You kind of get friendly with people near you, and you people watch sometimes, okay, all the time, and you get to know who drives what car. It's how it goes. The same exact thing happens in a neighborhood, at least in our neighborhood. Like, I know what cars my neighbors drive. I know if there's a weird car in the neighborhood pulling through. So, with Kristen's vehicle, her Honda Cross Tour being parked outside of her apartment complex, that in itself wasn't strange. But that sighting, though unremarkable at the time, would later become very pivotal because it would be the last confirmed trace of her. 3 days later, on September 13th, after Kristen failed to appear at work and missed multiple personal commitments, there was a welfare check that was requested by family and friends. So police came to her apartment and there was no answer at the door. Everything seemed very still, almost unsettlingly so. And they were like, well, there's no one there. There's nothing we can do. There's no unrest. There's no cause for concern. We're here to make sure that the person who lives here is okay. And they don't seem to be home. So at that point, there's not a whole lot that the police can do. So they left. And by September 16th, family and friends still had not heard from Kristen. And her family finally had enough. They filed an official missing persons report. And from the beginning, Scottsdale Police treated this case as very suspicious. This wasn't someone disappearing to start a new life, they believed. This was something much darker. The police immediately assumed and suspected that there was foul play involved because of someone that Kristen was living with. So, the first major clue for law enforcement was that Kristen's vehicle, her gray Honda Cross Tour, appeared to have been used after she disappeared, possibly by someone other than Kristen. And that raised immediate red flags. Scottsdale Police Department impounded the car, but no breakthrough evidence has ever been made public, which, that doesn't mean they didn't find anything necessarily. It just was not made public for us to know. If there was something, maybe they did tell family, but it was not made public knowledge. Items like her identification and passport were also recovered from her apartment, suggesting that she had not planned to leave, which makes sense, right? If you're going to disappear, you're going to abandon your family. Typically, you're going to take your driver's license with you. You're going to take a passport if you plan to leave the country, or for any other reason. You're probably also going to take your car. I would think, right? Or some clothes, just anything that was in your apartment that you might need if you were to start a new life. But none of that seemed to be the case. And that is when the attention soon turned to Kristen's then boyfriend. His name was Jelani John Suggs. He went by John, so we will call him John. John had been staying with her around the time that she went missing. Public records link him to the case, though he has never been actually charged with her disappearance. I want to make that very clear. Okay, he was linked, he was never charged. In later years, John was actually incarcerated in Yuma for an unrelated violent crime involving assault and threats. Sounds like a pattern to me, but I'm just I'm just speculating. And you know what? That history has kept him at the center of speculation for the last 10 years. But, investigators and journalists, they stress a very important fact that no formal charges have ever been tied to him for Kristen's case. Everyone remains presumed innocent unless proven guilty, right? It is just concerning that around the time that he was living with her, she went missing. Her car was used, and then he ended up being arrested for a violent crime involving assault and threats. So, something to keep in mind, I suppose. Investigators did collect DNA and fingerprint samples from those close to Kristen, hoping to tie them to evidence from her apartment or car. They also placed Kristen's DNA and dental records into the national database so that if ever any unidentified remains did turn up anywhere, then a match one day might be made. Forensic experts explain that this is a very common procedure. And if you're into true crime, you've read about stuff like this, then you know this is pretty common practice, um, especially in a suspicious missing persons case. And while it is very grim to think about, that's not the outcome we want at all. But it does ensure that if human remains are discovered in the future, then at least there's a chance of identifying them quickly. So it's necessary and it's good practice. So at this time in Scottsdale in 2015, the city was, it was thriving. Tourism was booming. It's pretty much the same as it is now. I think things were a bit cheaper 10 years ago. But aside from that craziness, the crime rates were actually comparatively low, which is crazy in itself, especially for Phoenix. If you know anything about Phoenix, you know that it is actually a hotbed for human trafficking. So, not great. But apparently in Scottsdale, crime rates were pretty low at the time. So, a disappearance like Cristin's stood out pretty starkly in this particular community. Local media latched onto this case almost immediately, highlighting the very unusual circumstances that, a woman with no reason to leave, no history of instability, the job and a family that tethered her firmly to her life there, just up and vanished, just went missing with absolutely no explanation. So, in that atmosphere, rumors started to swirl very, very quickly. I mean, people were questioning everything. Was it a random act, a targeted crime? Was it something unfolding inside Kristen's personal circle? I mean, people they don't share everything with their friends and family. There's the very real possibility that there was something going on in her life that they did not know about. And Scottsdale police stayed extremely tight lipped, offering only what they could confirm, which is also very good practice because as much as we want to know about the case, it's important for them to not share too much in case somebody does come forward with information, because then they can kind of determine, does this person actually know what they're talking about, right? Like, we haven't released that information. Do they have information that only we know? Or are they just stating stuff that they read about in the media? It's pretty common for police to not divulge every detail because it protects the case. But over the years, Kristen's family has been very outspoken. They've spoken publicly, keeping her memory alive and just, really pressing for answers. Her ex-husband, Joseph, was quoted quite often in the early interviews, and you could just hear the urgency and desperation in this man's voice. I mean, we can always tell, right? Like, we can always tell in the interviews when it's an ex-husband or a husband or boyfriend if they are insincere. This man, when I tell you these interviews that I watched are just heartbreaking, devastating, he really, you could tell, had a lot of respect for his ex-wife, which I think is beautiful. He said in one interview, quote, "She wouldn't just leave, not her kids, not her family," end quote. And, that belief that he had and that everyone else had, that Cristin had not chosen this, that became the guiding force for the search for her. And her daughter, Neela, she was the one who was only 3 years old at the time that all of this took place. She has been pretty outspoken with the media as well. She has had to grow up in the shadow of her mother's disappearance. And this year, in 2025, at the age of only 13, you guys, she spoke about the hole that this has left in her life. She said, quote, "It just feels like I never had a mom because she's never really been there. I don't really remember anything about her. Sometimes I'm in situations where I really need my mom, but I can't picture her with me." End quote. Oh, whenever I hear the children of a victim speak about not having their parent, it just every time it gets me every time. I can't deal. For a teenager, to articulate that loss so clearly just shows the human cost of Kristen's absence. Clearly, she was a wonderful mother, a wonderful person. Everyone had nothing but good things to say about her. This is a woman that apparently had no enemies. Like, no one disliked her. It is very, very suspicious. It is very, very strange that she would just go missing. Even her mother-in-law, who reflected on Kristen's caring nature, she spoke through tears during an interview about how she had been diagnosed with cancer, and she knew that Cristin would have been there for her. She said, quote, "3 years ago, I got cancer. I know she would have called every day to check on me," end quote. See, those To me, they're the kind of just everyday gestures, phone calls, check-ins. Those are the things that really separate some people. And to me, that is something that makes Kristen's disappearance also so starkly out of character. If she was that close to her mother-in-law, whose son she wasn't even married to anymore, that she would, without a doubt, call her every single day to check in on her. I mean, that's just a good person. She just seemed like a really kind human, which just makes it even more sad. Why is it always like this? It's always like the kindest person or they lit up a room and somehow their life gets cut short or they go missing. If anything were to ever happen to me, don't say that I lit up a room because I know I didn't. All right? I probably scanned the room, I read the room, decided I didn't like the room, and the people in the room were making me anxious, so then I left the room. I'm not a people person. I don't like small talk. I don't like any of that. So when I see people like Kristen who can just talk with strangers at her job about her life as a backup dancer, all of that, I I love that for them. That is never something I've been good at. I can't do it. I can't light up rooms. I don't like talking in front of people. It makes my butt sweat. And and I hate that so many wonderful people like Kristen go through things like this because I mean, how many times have you read a story like this and you hear she was so kind, she was so sweet, she was wonderful, she was a wonderful mother, she was so caring. I mean, I'm always going to be a caring mother. Absolutely. It's I love my kids. I'm obsessed with them. But uh it just kills me. It kills me when I hear stuff like that. Why? Why do these wonderful people? Why can't something happen to like a pedophile, you know? Just makes me mad. So I mean, it's pretty safe to say none of us can understand why any of this happens. And even criminologists are trying to better understand cases like Kristen's. And in order to do that, missing persons experts often highlight certain markers of foul play. Typically, when a person leaves behind personal documents like passports or IDs, it usually points away from voluntary disappearance. When their car is used after they're gone, like Kristen's was, especially by someone else, investigators immediately raise alarms. And when the individual is deeply embedded in, work and family life with no prior disappearances or issues, law enforcement often shifts their focus very quickly to the possibility of violence. Experts also stress the importance of early hours. I mean, guys, they call it the first 48 for a reason, right? And in Kristen's case, those first like 3 to 6 days, between her last confirmed sighting on September 10th and then the missing person report on the 16th, they were crucial. I mean, that gap, it may hold answers that simply just haven't surfaced yet, and we're just waiting for more information. But it's been 10 years. This family is tired of waiting. They need answers. As the years passed, Kristen's coworkers continued to just express complete disbelief. To them, she wasn't just a colleague, she was their friend. Coworkers would describe her to investigators as steady and responsible. They were like, there's just no way she would do this. One of them said, quote, not someone who would ever no show without a serious reason, end quote. And despite the lack of public breakthroughs, Scottsdale Police have never closed the case. So it remains cold, but it's not closed. And on their persons of interest and missing persons page, Kristen remains listed with the note foul play suspected. Silent Witness continues to circulate her flyer, and the NamUs database keeps her case active under entry MP33550. For the last 10 years and even today, theories continue to circulate. Some believe that Kristen may have been the victim of intimate partner violence, pointing to her personal relationships in the weeks before her disappearance with her boyfriend, John. And then others consider the possibility of just a random crime, that something very unfortunate happened. And I mean, like I mentioned before at the top of this episode with Irina Zarutska, stuff like that it happens. So that is also a possibility. Maybe something random did occur and she has not been found yet. Scottsdale Police have declared that this is most likely a homicide investigation simply because of how long it has been. Now, clearly not the outcome we want, right? But we don't know. We won't know until we have actual answers. So that is something that they're saying because it has been so long. Does it necessarily mean it's true? No. Could it be? Unfortunately, yes, it could. But regardless of the outcome, we still need answers for her family. They need closure. They need to know what happened to her. And what is very clear is that her story does not fit the mold of someone who wanted to disappear. Every available clue suggests that she met something she could not control. And a decade later, to the day, the silence around Kristen's case is what is the most haunting for her family, her friends, and especially her children. That silence is just unbearable. The lack of resolution is like just a wound that refuses to heal every time they think that they've taken a step forward, every time they think they have a tip or something new has come about. It's ripping that wound back open and it just doesn't heal. And it might take a very long time, but they deserve healing. Missing persons are more than just faces on flyers. They're parents, their coworkers, their friends whose futures have just been completely stolen from them. So, you guys, if you were in Scottsdale in September of 2015 near East Legacy Boulevard and Pima Road, and you remembered seeing Cristin or her gray Honda Cross Tour, the Scottsdale Police need your help. Even the smallest detail could matter. Go look at her picture, memorize her picture. I will have the TikTok up today. We'll have her face plastered all over it. Remember her name, remember her face. If you know something, anonymous tips can be submitted through Silent Witness at 480 Witness or at silentwitness.org. The Scottsdale Police also continue accepting information directly, so you can contact them at 480-312-5000. We have to do better as a society, and we have to make sure we're looking out for each other. If you guys have any information, please call in, please report it. For Kristen's children who are older now, but Neela's only a teenager, she's only 13. That question is going to haunt them forever. What happened to their mother? Where is she? Why has no one come forward? And until those questions are answered, Kristen's disappearance will remain one of Scottsdale's most painful mysteries. Kristen's family has waited a decade. You guys, her kids are growing up with questions that no child should ever have to ask. And they're just waiting until Cristin is found, until there are answers. Her story has to be told, and all of the other stories like hers. They need to be told and retold so that she is never forgotten, so that stories like this are not forgotten at all. I mean, shit like this happens way too often. We need to really keep an eye out for each other as women, as humans, just as people, because this happens to men too, for everyone. So there are links in the show notes for today's episode for information about this case, including a missing persons database for Scottsdale, along with a few most wanted listings as well, just because it's all on the same website. And those are important to know too. Take a look, just be aware. I also included the phone number for the Scottsdale Police Department and those websites I mentioned before in the show notes. Please look out for each other. Everybody, be good humans. If you see something, say something. If you hear something, be nosy. Okay, I've said it before. I'll say it again. Always overreact. If you think something sinister is afoot, just call the police. Worst that'll happen is that it was nothing and you overreacted, but you had good intentions. Now, I mean, of course, don't call the police because your neighbor's dog is barking. That's stupid. Don't call them for every little thing. But if your gut is truly telling you that something is wrong, there is nothing wrong with calling in and just making them aware of a situation that maybe doesn't look good or sound good. That's your lizard brain talking to you, and it's there for a reason. It keeps you safe, and that's your intuition. It's a very calm knowing. It's very quiet. It's very sure. That's your lizard brain. Anxiety, on the other hand, that's very loud. It's very fear-based. Lizard brain logic will always be calm and intuitive. Learn to trust it. Learn to listen to it. That is how we stay safe. That is how we keep each other safe as well. And that, my friends, is the story of the disappearance of Cristin Crable. I really wish I had more information about this. It's unfortunate that it's really hard to find non-sensationalized cases of missing people, but I did as much research as I possibly could. Hopefully we find out more very soon. If not, then eventually. I mean, like I said, cold cases, they don't always stay cold. We can warm them up. So keep spreading the word. And of course, if you guys have any other cases that you think need more coverage, please send them to me. I'm happy to do it. Let's help each other stay safe and stay aware. Send in any topics you think need to be discussed. And of course, your own stories too. Send in whatever weird story you have for booze clues, cryptids, creepies, crawlies, all of it. And thank you guys for listening. Please, please share this episode with everyone, especially if you're in Arizona. Share it, like it, repost it, send it, get the word out. And Alex, if you're listening, thank you so much for making me aware of this case. I really hope I was able to do your friend some justice. Thank you for trusting me with this story. Hopefully, Crime Junkie takes a hold of this story and just, knocks it out of the park and everyone starts talking about it and we find out some more information. Like I said, they have a much bigger platform than I do, so they have the opportunity to do a bit more with this story, but I'm happy to just happy to be here, happy to help. So, yeah, let's do better, guys. Let's do better as a society, as people. We want to make this world a better place. And that's all I really have for you guys today. So, thank you. Thanks for being here with me. And if you sat through my venting at the beginning of this episode, thank you for listening. Thank you for being a friend. Golden guys, gals, and non binary pals, I love you all. You guys are the absolute best. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. All the normal, housekeeping stuff, the business, bid nasty, as Ash from Morbid likes to say. She used to say that a lot in the early episodes, and she has started saying it more recently again. And I'm here for it. I love it. I love OG Morbid. So yeah, that's all. That's all the business I have for you. And all the social media stuff. Go follow the podcast where you follow things. Get your spooky merch from the website. And of course, remember to trust your lizard brain. Until next time, goodbye.